She is the daughter of Maharaj Kumar Indrajitendra Narayan and Rani Kamala Devi of Kuch Bihar, and the granddaughter of Lieutenant Colonel Maharaja Sri Shriman Sir Jitendra Narayan KCIE of Kuch Bihar. She is married to His Highness the Maharaja Adhiraj Mahimahendra Maharao Raja Sri Virajat Singh of G of Kota. Though she mostly spends her life in seclusion, but those who come in her contact shall unfailingly admit her gentle, marvelous, and above all, caring and simple behavior. She is none other than Her Highness Maharani Uttaradevi Sahiba of Kota, the Princess of Kuch Bihar. We are fortunate to have her as our chief guest today. We will request our chief guest, the Maharani Sahiba, to kindly present us with her reminiscences.
Good evening, everybody. These memories of mine go back to my early childhood days when I was around 2 or 3 years old. I remember being woken up in the morning by the band playing outside our windows on the lawns of the palace to wake us up. There were other memories of being woken up early in the morning, crack of dawn, when it was still dark. We had to get dressed and go down to ride the horses. And we went into the countryside. In those days, Kuch Bihar was a small place, and we were quite fast out in the country amongst the lush greenery of Bengal. Later in the morning, sometimes we went to the Pilkhana, where the elephants were. There was a little stream there where they bathed the elephants, and we loved watching them. The little ones would come to play with us, and the big ones, when we entered the compound, would raise their tusks and greet us. We fed them sometimes. These same elephants would come on the shoots with us. Big animals, but gentle. I learned a long way back that courage doesn't come in size. The tiger is much smaller, but much braver. The elephants are big, but they're scared of the tiger. I have been on an elephant attacked by a tiger, and it shook like a leaf. Several times in the summer holidays, when it was hot and very muggy, we would swim in the lake near the palace. My grandmother would have the area cleaned near the palace grounds where we could play and splash, my friends and I. They were my brother's age and my age. They were the staff children, and we'd swim. We'd have tea after that, samosas. Those were idyllic childhood days. In the palace compound, there was a doll's house, which was built for my eldest aunt. And it was a regular house, not a little wooden one like you have in the shops. It was built with bricks, it was whitewashed, it had 2 floors, smaller in size than a normal building, and an adult would have to bend to go in, but we could run up and down the stairs. There were 2 floors, 2 rooms on each floor, a staircase going up, and in my aunt's days, there were regular furniture, beds, dressing tables, dolls, and the aunts would play there. In our days, the furniture had gone. The palace behind the kitchens had a spreading tree, a very big one, under which we had our winter lunches. And the tea used to be near the tennis courts. Whenever we had important guests like the Jaipurs, the Devases, friends from Calcutta, they'd play tennis in the afternoon. And my grandmother and I would be wandering in the garden because she was a good gardener. She knew where every tree was planted, every flower, she planned it. We'd land up there, and then we would have tea with them. Tea would come on a silver platter with silver tea set, and typical Bengali snacks like chura bhaja, motor, nimkis, and cakes. Behind the tennis court, there was a squash court. My uncle was very keen on sports. He liked to be fit, and he played every evening. He also played tennis regularly. There was a marco there. Across the road from the tennis courts was the garages and the stables where the horses were kept. Now, in the palace compound, towards the end of it, there was an ashram built by my grandmother. It was built for the orphans of the great Bengal famine. when thousands died. Children were on the road, no parents, no food. My grandmother used to go in the car at night and pick up these little children, girls, boys, irrespective of whether they were Muslims or Hindus. They were brought to Kuch Bihar. This ashram was built. It was built in the typical Gurukul style. The walls were of baked mud, the roofs were thatched. They were in two halves, one half of the boys, one half for the girls. With the men had elderly teachers in kurtas and white dhotis. The women were in white saris. They were all taught to read and to write and to be literate. The boys were taught careers. Some of them became drivers, some of them were cooks, some of them were table boys, and the girls were all taught to knit and sew and to keep a household. When the girls were old enough, they were married off, and my grandmother made sure that the boys who married them had a job and had their own house. One thing that I always remember about the palace grounds was the distant snows that you could see on a clear day. The mighty Himalayas with the white sparkling snows in a blue sky when the sun was shining. But they weren't always available. You could see them sometimes. Nowadays, I believe you can't at all see them. It's sad. Well, this is so much so for the grounds. For the palace itself was beautiful. My grandmother had very good taste, and she got furniture from Europe, England, France, and every room had a chandelier. It was all imported. Every room had Persian carpets, and the drawing rooms had paintings of my family, my uncle, my father, my aunts, their ancestors. And there were crystal everywhere. There were objets d'art, chandeliers, carpets, lamps, vases. I noticed afterwards that there were no fans. There were no ceiling fans. I realized afterwards that because some of the ceilings were painted, so not to spoil them, they had stand fans. My favorite rooms were the dining room and the library. The library was white and gold, and it had books piled up to the ceiling in bookcases. Some of the books were massive, some were smaller, all subjects were there. I used to often sit there. There was a long table on which you could put the books and read. I loved reading. I often went there. And I often took books from there to the garden where I would sit and read. The other favorite room of mine was the dining room. It had two huge life-size paintings at each end. One of my uncle in full dress uniform and one of my great-grandmother Suniti Devi. The walls were lined with tables against which there were beautiful silver trophies which my ancestors won at the races. The Kuch Bihars had very good race horses and we often won. Near the dining room was my uncle's office. It had the most beautiful rosewood furniture, heavy pieces, intricately carved. He used to do all his work there. And near it was the billiard room, with the billiard table and a piano. I forgot to mention that the dining room had glasses in the windows from Belgium. They're still there today, which is very impressive. The palace seems to be most known for its Chinese room. I don't know why, but it is. There was a Chinese room there, and it had wooden flooring, and it had Chinese furniture. It was the only room that had a wooden floor, otherwise it was all Italian marble. This room was midway between our rooms, the children's rooms, and my grandmother's rooms. We had to pass through it to go to our rooms or to go to her room. It was supposed to be haunted. It was always dark. And when you go into a haunted room, and it's a dark room, and you're a child, it is frightening. So we never walked through, we ran through each time. Next to this room was the blue guest room, which was our main room where all the VIP guests stayed. There were other bedrooms where they had exquisite furniture. A red room where they had red lacquer furniture. All the furniture was red and gold. There was a blue room where there was blue lacquer furniture, blue and gold furniture. There were several drawing rooms. Two of them were formal with antique furniture, gilt, and one was an informal one where we sat in the evening before having dinner. Every room was exquisite. There was nothing lacking in them. The Darbar Hall was one room that we could not enter. We kids could not enter. We could see it from the top, from the balcony, because the floor had this beautiful marble inlay of the Kuch Bihar crest, and there was a huge chandelier which hung from the top. But from the balcony, I suppose the women could watch this Darbar going on in the old days. In every way, the palace was beautiful beyond words. I mean, I can't explain how lovely it was. I've been to many palaces, seen many of them, but ours may have been smaller, but it was very well done. Throughout the years, when I could not come back to Kuch Bihar, there were four firm constants in my mind: the palace, Madan Mohan Bari, the Sagar Dighi surrounded by heritage buildings, and the eternal snows of the Himalayan range that could be seen on a clear day from the palace. My memories belong to a period in our country's history that we will never see again. It is an era that has gone with the sands of time. For those of you who are listening to me, I offer you my thanks and my good wishes.
We offer our most hearty thanks to Maharani Sahiba for her treasured recollection. We are also very thankful to Yuvraj Yajraj Singh Ji of Kota for his kind assistance regarding this recollection. He has helped us to record the audio. The archive was greatly privileged to have Maharao Brijraj Singh Ji and Maharani Uttara Devi of Kota and Yuvraj Yajraj Singh Ji and Yuvrani Kalpana Devi of Kota as our honorable guests on the special exhibition of the birth centenary celebrations of His Highness the Maharaja Jagadripendra Narayan of Kuch Bihar on December 2014. Since then, the Maharani has chaired personally as one of our most distinguished advisors. Once again, our sincere thanks to Her Highness.